All right. Yeah. So yeah, that question on the pioneer. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. As I was saying that I came in the late '60s,
Mm-hmm.
and when I came in, there were a lot of older brothers and sisters who had came in the early '50s,
Mm-hmm.
and they were the ones whom I considered pioneers.
Right.
And they also referred to people who was around in the '30s.
Right.
Master Farad Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and they would refer to those people. But Baltimore, I guess you might say, literally first got started in 1948.
1948.
Yes, that's when Brother Charles Rashid
Mm-hmm.
brought Islam from Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Um, and he kind of opened up the first temple. That's what we called it then.
Right. What was the name again? I'm sorry.
Charles Rashid.
Okay. Yes, I got it.
That's the one that they have a book on his. He has autobiography out.
Right.
And now he ended up going to prison
Mm-hmm.
for not registering for the draft of World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And well, it may have been the Korean War, I'm not sure, because I think World War II was over in '45, but the Korean War started in 1950.
Mm-hmm.
And so he spent 5 years in prison.
Mm-hmm.
He was in prison with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for a portion of his time.
Okay.
And when he got out, he became the administrator of Temple, the masjid.
Mm-hmm.
And he was I guess, he was actually the first minister, then he was the first captain, and then he ended up being the secretary when he came home. While he was in prison, his wife was holding the post for him.
Okay.
So they kind of shared that position in the masjid.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the secretary all throughout the rest of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's tenure.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the one that I told you when I came in. He was the one who told the minister there was a young man in there with that captain who is really the real captain. He said those other guys haven't been captains, but that guy has been holding the post, doing the work of the captain all the time.
Okay.
Right. I think that's why the minister considered me at such a young age, because the man who brought Islam to Baltimore was telling him I was the one doing the work.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. So let me ask you this: that he's considered a pioneer, right?
Charles, without a doubt, yes, sir.
All right. Yeah. So what is it? So I mean, I guess myself, I look at you as a pioneer, right? But where's the line drawn? What is it that is there a certain generation or after a certain time or?
Well, I'm going to say the people who let's put it like this. Imam Muhammad became our leader. He referred to those who were already following Master Farad Muhammad and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad before he was even born as the pioneers.
I see.
So he represented. I mean, he wasn't even born, so people was already here. So they were considered the pioneers. And then after he began to teach us a while, all of those who came in during the 50s, I'm going to say in the 50s, I'm not going to say the 60s. We who came in the 60s considered them the pioneers.
I see.
And to me, it's such a position of esteem. You don't want to claim it. But I meet people now who, my children's age, my grandchildren's age, and because I'm alive, they tell me it's an honor to talk to me because they look at me as a pioneer.
Right, that's right.
So I guess it's the generation, and I think it's more or less one who paved the way for others.
Right.
That's really the definition of pioneer.
Mm-hmm.
But most people who are considered pioneers don't consider themselves as pioneers.
I see. Okay. All right. I got you. Yeah, I guess I was under this misunderstanding because when I first started hearing the term, I assumed that it was someone who was from the nation. And then when, everyone converted over to Sunniya under W.D. Muhammad, those people were part of the nation and moved over. I thought that those people were pioneers. That was my initial understanding. But you're letting me know that it's much deeper than that. It goes back further than that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It goes all the way back to the very beginning. Those who followed Master Farad Muhammad along with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. See, when Master Farad Muhammad was teaching in 1930 up to 1934,
Mm-hmm.
he had a large following in Detroit and in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And they were the original pioneers. They actually accepted to reject the societal standards for
Mm-hmm.
people of color or descendants of the freed slaves,
Mm-hmm.
and established their own.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And if I could give some definition to the term pioneer for us,
mm-hmm.
it was to reject the influences of slavery.
Mm.
And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, believe it or not, was very, very instrumental in talking about the mind.
Mm-hmm.
But not very many people picked it up in their understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to highlight something that really struck me when I read the Message to the Black Man.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to me, the cornerstone of his teachings was a book called Message to the Black Man in America.
Mm-hmm.
And I read that, started reading the book. I didn't get all the way finished.
Mm-hmm.
I got to page 109. I'll never forget it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas he was talking about 24 scientists.
Mm-hmm.
And he said these 24 scientists were separated into 12 majors and 12 minors.
Mm-hmm.
They used to go out into the population. He said, tune in, and I guess he was extracting the mindset of the population.
Okay.
And they would come back and write the history for 25,000 years in advance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He said the reason why they wrote it for 25,000 years was to be in compliance with the circumference of the earth, which is 24,896 miles, approximately 25,000 miles, 1 year for every mile.
Mm-hmm.
He said the reason why it was 24 scientists because of the number of hours in the day. But of course, we know it's not exactly 24 hours. It's 23 minutes, 56 minutes, and 46 seconds. He said, and after so much time, a portion of the book would be given to the people. And that was called script of writing. When the people received it, they called it scripture. And he said, this is what we read when we read the Bible. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, after I got this, I said, wait a minute, how did this man know this stuff of a third grade education?
Right.
He said that the one who was the leader of the 24 had the title of Allah. This is how he explained Allah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got you.
He said Allah really is the black man of Asia.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the 24 scientists was more or less the leadership. He said one of those scientists passed, one of the minors would be moved up to the majors, and they would go out into the population and get another one to take the minor's place. And that was the way the Godhead operated. Mm-hmm. So from that perspective, it was all a mental thing. Mm-hmm. And not very many people subscribed to that understanding, but that was, to me, was what I came in to get the answers to.
Right.
So, and I always would ask, I would inquire about it because I saw in it a word problem that needed to be digested. And so I would always ask the ministers or those who were teaching, but they never could give me a satisfactory answer. And I never really got it until Imam Muhammad became our leader.
Okay.
And that's to answer your question about when did I become aware of the mind set, or the mind side of the teachings.
Right.
I was always aware of it.
Right.
It was what I came in on. And but just between me and you, I was an engineering student then.
And you say just between me and you,
I'm getting ready to tell you.
Well, I'm saying I put these up on the you. If you don't want me to put this up on,
no, it's cool. It's cool. That's just a phrase.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, I dropped out of college because I realized, see, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad called the white man the devil. And so by me going to the white man's school, getting his knowledge, I thought I was studying the devil's knowledge.
Right.
I said, so why should I be spending my time studying this devil knowledge when I could be following this man getting God's knowledge? So I decided to pursue studying him and his teachings, independent study. And I never stopped.
Okay, got you. And I think now let me ask you, is that like a kind of a cornerstone with regards to how most of the ancestors tended to study, like independently, or the institutes of knowledge within the organizations?
I'm going to say, I don't know. You have to understand, I was a freshman, and I just finished a advanced college preparatory curriculum in high school. That was an engineering high school.
Right.
So they taught us how to study that way.
Right.
And that was my only concept of what I had learned from high school. Right. I don't know. I'm going to say, as far as the community is concerned, the broader community, yes, but it was not formal. In other words, if you research how Malcolm came into his awareness, you look at when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was in prison, I'm pretty sure that's when he enhanced a lot of his understanding. Also, Master Farah Muhammad gave the Honorable Elijah Muhammad 109 books to read. So that's why he left Chicago and came to Washington, D.C.
Right.
Those books was available to him at the Library of Congress. And so he continued to pursue his understanding of what his teacher taught him. I'm going to say independent study. Right. Because he was incorporating the books. Now, a lot of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings included references from Carter G. Woodson, which is the guy, NAACP guy, I forgot his name. But
W.E.B. Du Bois?
Yeah, W.E.B. Du Bois. And
Doctor.
A lot of those, Frederick Douglass, and a lot of what he taught us was things that they highlighted, but I didn't know it was from them. I thought it was from him.
Were there any teachings? I assume there were also some teachings from Marcus Garvey, I assume.
Marcus Garvey, yes, I'm pretty sure. A lot of his original followers were former Garveyites. You know, because they recognized the similarities. And he had a lot of Freemasons, Garveyites, Noble Drew Ali, a lot of them came to follow him because they saw some of the same teachings, and it was considered Islam, according to what they knew of as Islam. But they only knew it in terms of Black nationalism, doing for self, and reforming our moral character. It wasn't religion, even though it was accepted as a religion. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said more than once that what I'm teaching you is not religion. He said, there's one coming after me who will teach you the religion. I'm just giving you a wake-up message. I'm trying to prepare you to receive the religious message. And that was common, but I'm not going to say it was on the forefront of our mind because, and I'm going to say that because one of the first things he taught us when we came in was to accept Allah as God and pray to that God. When you have prayer as a part of the cornerstone of what you're doing, right, it automatically connotes religion.
Right, right.
But he said he was not teaching us religion. Mm-hmm. Now, I will say this. He did tell us, stop smoking, stop drinking, stop using drugs, stop sleeping with the opposite sex that you're not married to. We have to live a clean and upright life. You have to be gainfully employed. Crime is not an acceptable alternative for a means of livelihood. Mm-hmm. So, and I can remember as a young man, yeah, I'm only 18 years old. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, man, I wanted to have my fun first.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm not ready for this. But I realized that if God sent this man, and I, in my own mind, as I was born and raised a Christian, I actually thought I was born 2,000 years too late because I wanted to be born in the time of Jesus. I felt like if I was born in his time, I don't think the Roman soldiers would have crucified him without at least a fight. I would have helped him. Right. And so I used to agonize over that. I was a little child, 12, 13 years old. So when I heard the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I had reservations as far as trying to get myself right, because I always thought I would wait till I got old, like 40 or something.
Right.
So I decided to get the Holy Ghost.
Right.
Try to make it into paradise.
Right.
But I said, you know what? If I don't accept to follow this man now, I'll really be a hypocrite to myself. How can I face God on the day of judgment, knowing that he sent a servant in my lifetime? Right. And I wish I was born 2,000 years ago and I don't follow the one that he did give us. So I had to put down the cigarettes.
Yeah.
Tell the little girls, I can't mess with you no more.
Right.
One of them I actually proposed to. I said, well, we have to be married. And but she didn't. We didn't get married because she told me she had to check with her pastor. And I said to myself, I was a young man, but I said, I'm not going to marry somebody who's have another authority in their life.
Right.
So I ended up. I dedicated myself to the work. Right. And that's how I stayed busy and I kept myself busy to stay away from the females. Right. That's why I work so hard.
Yeah, no, I got you.
And so I ended up getting married like 3.5 years later. But for that time I was just working. And I think that's why Brother Charles saw me as a good candidate for that position.
MashaAllah. So as I'm reviewing here my notes, and what I have here, so you kind of going back a little bit, you said that the cornerstone, you would say, of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his book, Message to the Black Man in America.
Yes.
Okay. And
I would say that wraps it up.
Okay. And that addresses, I'm assuming, mostly like some Black nationalism, self-reliance, reforming the self. Does it talk about anything?
Well, I'm going to tell you how it affected me, and I'm pretty sure I'm typical.
Okay.
One of the things was he pointed to the future.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "There's one coming after him,
Mm-hmm.
and when he comes, he's going to make all things new."
Mm-hmm. Okay. Uh-huh.
There's a chapter in the book called "When He Makes All Things New,"
Okay. Uh-huh.
and he says that whenever he used the term gods, he
Mm-hmm.
said whenever a god comes on the scene, he used nothing of the old.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, but naturally, after experimenting with a thing, you can make a better make of it.
Mm-hmm.
He'll use a whole new everything.
Right.
So we expected the one to come after him to make everything new.
Mm-hmm.
That was one thing. Another theme that he used was lift yourself up by your own bootstraps and do something for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
One of the lessons that he gave us in once you accepted him was he said, "Would you sit at home and wait for that mystery God to come and bring you bread?"
Mm-hmm.
That was the question
Mm-hmm.
that the Master Rabb Muhammad asked him.
Mm-hmm.
And he answered it. That's the way the questions went. Master
Mm-hmm.
Rabb Muhammad would ask him the questions and he would answer it. And we had to learn those questions and answers.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer to that was emphatically no.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my people for 400 years have tried this so-called mystery God for food, clothing, and shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And we received nothing but nakedness, hunger, and put out of doors.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, we waste no more time waiting for a mystery God to come and do for us what we can do for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure that was a part of what he drew from Frederick Douglass by lifting yourselves up by your own bootstraps.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Another part of what I thought was a theme in the message to the black man was that the white man was a devil.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And because I didn't see the white man as a devil when I started reading the book, but he talked about it so casually, so easy, so emphatic. Yeah. I had to accept it.
Right.
Every time I would be reading, but he would talk about the devil just lightly. Mm-hmm. But it was a matter of fact that because he used two analogies that convinced me that I said, he probably got something there. He said that if this man was in his bed sleeping and his dog would be scratching at the back door, he said he would leave the comfort of his bed and his wife, get up, go downstairs, open the back door, and let that dog run out in the yard and have his freedom. He said we have 17 million black people knocking on the doors in America for their freedom, and he turned a deaf ear. Mm-hmm. He said a human being wouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. Only a devil would do that. Mm-hmm. He said this man will take these people, enslave them, go into them and plant his seed. Mm-hmm. And when his own son or daughter was born, he'd put them out in the field as a slave.
Right.
He said a human being couldn't do that.
Right, that's right.
Only a devil would do that. Then he went into the history of the European, how many years they fought one another. And and I had American history in high school, and I had world history. Right. And it didn't take too much convincing after that.
Right.
It didn't sound human to me. So that was another part of the theme of the message to the black man. Yeah. One more thing that he had as a very, very common thing was that my people suffer from a lack of knowledge of their own self. And I didn't understand that, but I thought I knew myself. But he was saying, no, your true self is the original man. You have a God-given nature that really should be the ruler of the earth. He let us know that we need to get acquainted with the knowledge of ourselves. And the white man's teaching to us of who we were was not who we were. Right. He was teaching us who we were.
Right.
And that was very essential.
Mm-hmm.
Now I would say if you take those components, that is what you will get out of the message to the black man.
Got you. So that's good. I thought I had the book around here. But I guess I don't. I was looking for it the other day. But one more thing, kind of going back before Elijah Muhammad. Let's talk about Master Farad Muhammad. I don't know how much you remember about him. I mean, I'm quite sure you never met him, but what are some of the things that you heard about him? Like what I've read as a kid, he kind of showed up out of nowhere and he disappeared out of nowhere. Like,
Yes.
So yeah, could you just give me a general rundown of what being closer to the source of people who may have met him or learned from him?
Well, I'm going to tell you what Imam Muhammad said. That's about as much as I can tell you. One thing was he said he came to America on July the 4th, 1930.
Okay.
And so that's one of the reasons why we celebrate July the 4th. Because he recognized it as his coming to America.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to teach that he came like a thief in the night. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason why he just appeared. Mm-hmm. I know that the Sister Clara Muhammad went to see him first. And she told her husband, who was Elijah Muhammad, mm-hmm. and that you need to go see that. I mean, he was a guy who was just standing on the corner drinking wine like everybody else. And
you say you talking about
Elijah Muhammad.
Okay, got you.
He was the son of a Baptist preacher. Mm-hmm. So when he went to see him, he recognized him on his first visit as the Son of Man. Mm. And he went to him and told him, I know who you are. But you have to understand, his father was a Baptist preacher. So he had, I'm going to say, Christian religious upbringing. Mm-hmm. So that's the way he saw him. Right. He actually went to him after the teachings and said, I know who you are. Mm-hmm. You are the Son of Man. Yeah. And so Master Farad Muhammad told him, keep it to yourself. He said, I think you got a good got good vision, but don't tell nobody.
Right.
So that's so he began to teach in Detroit. Mm-hmm. And Imam Muhammad said that he was from the part of the world known as India. Mm-hmm. It wasn't Pakistan. Pakistan didn't get developed until 1948. Mm-hmm. So this was a British colony, mm-hmm. and they had misgivings about being subjugated under the Queen in Great Britain. So he wanted to get even with the West. Mm-hmm. And this was the way he saw it, because he brought the message of Islam with an understanding of you need to reject the white man's Christianity and accept your original nature. Right. And he referred to, as a matter of fact, he didn't say Islam was a religion. Mm. That Islam is the nature of your original self. Mm-hmm. That was another reason why he said he was not teaching religion. Right. He was just introducing us to the restoration of our nature. Right. Uh-huh. And one of the things that he when you accepted him, he gave you something called actual facts. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions in actual facts is, who is the original man? Mm-hmm. And the answer was, the original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the civilization, the father of civilization. Mm-hmm. I mean, the cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization, God of the universe. Mm-hmm. And this is something everybody remembered. It was a common quote. It was just common knowledge. Mm-hmm. We are the original man. Mm-hmm. So it gave us a sense of self-esteem. Right. And I think that's something else that's important. Mm-hmm. in the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teachings, because we didn't have any self-esteem as a people. Right. And we called ourselves colored and Negro at the time. Mm-hmm. Black was not common. Right. It was something that he introduced. The fact that descendants of the freed slaves call themselves black today is because of his introduction to that concept. We are, as a matter of fact, James Brown said he was inspired by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to make the song "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud."
Okay, yeah. Okay, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he told that to Imam Muhammad.
Okay.
Imam Muhammad was telling him how much that he admired him. He said, "Well, don't you know your father was the one who inspired me to make that song?"
Yeah.
So, but no, at the time, we were considered colored or Negro. Your Honorable Elijah Muhammad said we were not Negroes, we were so-called Negroes.
Yes, I remember hearing the term so-called.
Okay, that's where that comes from.
Yeah.
And because they called them black, he didn't reject it. He explained it like this: if a man plays the violin, you call him a violinist. You call him, if he plays the piano, you call him a pianist. So if your original nature is black, then that's what you are.
Right.
You're a racist. You're a black racist.
Yeah.
That was the point. He was not rejecting being a black racist. A racist is somebody who cares about himself and his people. So he took the opposite of what the white racist was doing.
Right.
I'm going to say that was another theme of his theology. He did the opposite of what Caucasian people did with white racism. He turned it and did it with black racism. You know, white racists had themselves as superior to black people, but he told us that we were superior to white people. He said they are wicked, they are less than, they are devils. You are of the family of the righteous.
I see. Yeah. I get it. Mashallah.
Okay.
Yeah, I get that.
But all that you get out of the message to the black man.
And all this he learned and everything from those maybe 109 books is probably he got from Master Farah Muhammad. That's where he kind of came up.
Well, I read a couple of them. I'm gonna tell you one of the ones that I saw in that was a common thing. That was one by Carter G. Woodson, The Miseducation of the American Negro.
Yes.
You will find that theme in his writings.
Yes, indeed.
So if you can see how the Honorable Muhammad was molded when you read those books.
Yes. Yeah. Mashallah. You mentioned something about Master Farah that I've always just been curious about. I know they say he came from the East. You say he came from India. Was he
India? Yes. They say he was born in Mecca, but he was not.
Okay.
He was of Indian descent.
Okay, he was actually an Indian person.
Yeah, he was Indian.
Okay. That's interesting.
And his mother was Caucasian.
Okay.
That's why he looked white.
Okay, so and I get what you're saying, because Indians, we look at the Indians on TV and they're very light complexion, but
his mother was Caucasian, so he looked Caucasian.
Yes.
And the reason why Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that his father went into the hills and caves of Europe. That was another one of our lessons. But and got a woman, somebody in there, and he said the first baby that was born was a female.
Okay.
So his father said, "Oops, I missed that time." Had another child, and it was Farad. So he raised him with the express purpose of sending him to America. He raised him and educated him to do what he did. Now, Imam Muhammad said he was not a lone ranger.
Right.
It was a group of them.
Okay.
And who sent him here.
Okay. So just to make sure I'm clear, there's a group of people who actually sent him here.
Yes.
And when he came here, he was alone, or did he have a group like a?
He said he came to North America there was a lesson about that. He said, my name is W.F. Farad. I came to North America by myself. My uncle was brought over here 379 years ago, talking about the black man in America. My uncle does not know he is my uncle. And he goes into it like that.
Right.
So that was one of our lessons.
Yes. Wow. Now you open up a can of worms with that one, brother. Because I would have. Do you know why he referred to the black man as his uncle?
Well, I can say based on the teaching of Elijah Muhammad, the black man was considered anybody not Caucasian, meaning the yellow man, the Chinese, the red man, the Indian,
yeah,
brown man, I mean the American Indian, and then the Indian, the East Indian was considered the brown, and the Japanese, and then the African, who was considered black. All of them were considered the Asiatic black man.
Yeah. Okay.
So the fact that you were a different color made you brothers. So Master Farab Muhammad, being of Indian descent, his ethnic identity was the brother to the Africans, the American Indians, and the Japanese. In other words, the Asiatic black men were all, the ethnic identity were brothers to one another.
Right.
So that's why he referred to us as his uncle.
Yeah. That's interesting. Now I'm assuming, because his name, I'm assuming Master Farid Muhammad.
We pronounce it Farad.
Farad, okay. And last name was Muhammad, though.
No, he changed it a lot. Sometimes his last name was Farad. In other words, we used to have a uniform. And it was called WFM. Yeah. Master Wallace Farad Muhammad.
Okay.
But sometimes he called himself WD Farad.
Okay.
That's where the D came from.
Gotcha.
So no, and I think that's what's on the uniform. WDF. That's what's on the FOI uniform.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I used to wonder why I had that. Yeah. WDF.
Yeah, he sometimes he called himself Muhammad, sometimes he called himself Farad.
Yeah, okay. Now I'm assuming he had a Muslim, like even an Eastern Muslim background. I'm just assuming.
Oh, well, I'm pretty sure he was born and raised as that.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to say one more thing. The Imam Muhammad said he believed he was from the Ahmadiyya community. Because the book that he gave us the Quran to read, but it was from Maulana Muhammad Ali, who I think was the secretary in the Ahmadiyya community, but he did not, he actually said he did not subscribe to it.
Right.
Ahmadiyyism, because I think they consider Ghulam Ahmed as a prophet.
Right.
But Maulana Muhammad Ali did not consider him as a prophet. But I think he was educated in Great Britain. He was a lawyer, and he was the secretary of that organization.
What was the name again?
Maulana Muhammad Ali. He translated the Holy Quran. He has a very well-known translation. And that was the first one that we read under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Okay.
I'm trying to think back to some of the old Qurans I used to have. It wasn't the big green one, was it?
Yes, it was.
That's it? Okay. I think I still got one of them somewhere.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. That was the first one I read.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was, I think the Imam said his name was Maulana Abu Abdullah Muhammad. Abu Abdullah Muhammad. It's not just Maulana Muhammad Ali, but he had another name in there too.
All right, that's
but yes, that was that when Imam became our leader, he relaxed us reading that one and asked us to pick up the Yusuf Ali translation.
Okay.
So that's when he changed. He changed that one that we used to read, but that's the only one we used to read.
Right.
Under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Okay. So you went from Moulani's to, and then when Imam WD, you all went to Yusuf Ali.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Good deal.
You said that was a better version. But he also gave us another book. By Maududi. Called Introduction to Islam. Once he gave us our Shahada, He gave us a book from him that we all read.
Right.
That introduced us to Islam. Now the guy is very, very insightful. And you know, but like I say, he was the cornerstone of my understanding.
Right.
Because I got it from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, I guess I should say, and I'm probably typical, and that's the reason why when I say it, I make a reference to the rest of the community. And that is everything that Imam Muhammad taught us once he became our leader. We had to translate what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us. We had to translate it into Imam Muhammad's teachings. And he was very, very careful to guide us in that way. You have to understand, he was an authority of what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught. He was raised in his house.
Right.
So, and I never forget how he used to say, what y'all walking around here calling supreme wisdom, knowledge, and understanding was bedtime stories to me.
Right.
So he knew.
Yeah.
And, but he knew he was trying to introduce us to Prophet Muhammad.
Okay.
So he had to translate the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings into a focus, into true Islam. Now, this goes to one of your questions, was, did he establish a method?
Yeah.
He did not establish a method, but by default, the fact that he had to take a whole theology that was respected to the degree that people were willing to die for.
Yes.
And introduce it and translate it into a focus into Allah, the creator of the heavens and the earth, and Prophet Muhammad, it automatically became a method. And I'm going to say that because this is where my thinking comes from. And I know I am no slouch in my thinking.
Right.
And they say a man's wisdom is known by his children. Well, my children also are no slouches in their thinking.
Right.
I have a daughter who's she is the director of the comparative law department at Harvard University. She's fluent in Arabic and Farsi, as well as English, and have a reading proficiency in German and Spanish. I have a son, I think you may know him. He was Imam Muhammad's assistant, and he's fluent in Arabic as well. He ran for Congress, and I think the door is still open on what he's really going to do.
Okay.
I'm going to say he was trained for that.
Right.
So, but his story is yet to be told.
MashaAllah.
And but I credit it to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his teachings and effect on me and their mother. We were both followers of him, and we were both mathematics teachers in the Nation of Islam, the university school, the Nation of Islam. So I just thought I would put a little note out there.
That's a good thing, because I've always told people, the way I feel is that any Muslim in America today, especially if you're Black, African-American Muslim, you have been impacted by all of those people in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Even if you didn't come in through that door. Like somebody said, I don't know much about the nation, I don't know about this. I just came. I'm like, yeah, but you were introduced to Islam. I'm quite sure someone in your family who comes from the nation, who comes from, you are impacted by it, right?
Well, yes, I can say this too. There was a doctor in Baltimore. He was Muslim, and he was from Pakistan, and he said that he used to go to the doctors' meetings, and he was more Americanized, and he was proud of his Americanism, and they used to drink alcohol and everything else. But when Imam Muhammad became our leader and introduced us to Prophet Muhammad, it also revived him back to his upbringing. And now he's very well known as a supporter of true Islam in Baltimore.
Alhamdulillah.
And so there was a whole lot more. They actually realized how can they let these descendants be better Muslims than what they are.
Yeah.
And they was born and raised Muslims.
Yes. Yeah. MashaAllah.
So, but one of the things that we had, being born and raised in America, we rejected the ills of society in America. Right. Whereas most immigrants who come to America and accept the ills of America. That's right. They come for the almighty dollar. They don't come for dawah. Right. Right. They come here, you notice they open up stores, but they sell drug paraphernalia. They have a lottery machine, they sell alcohol, they do everything. Right. Some of them even sell pork. Right. They don't hold on to their deen. They don't come here to spread the message of Prophet Muhammad. They come here to get the almighty dollar. Right. And to do that, you have to assimilate. That's right. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I was absolutely right. And it is kind of funny because I can remember there was a time when I was younger where you would kind of see them brothers coming over. You kind of looked at them like, y'all know a little something, y'all Muslim generation after generation, hundreds of years going back. But you always question like things like that. Even as a little kid, like you go in their store and they would have cigarettes. But my understanding was like, hey, Muslims don't smoke, right? Correct. So you see some of them smoking, right, and doing stuff and drinking. And you're like, and I'm like, from my knowledge of Islam, from what I know from my people, right, right, Muslims ain't supposed to smoke, ain't supposed to drink. So I don't know what So you did see that dichotomy there as a kid. I used to wonder that. I think I understood a lot better as I got older, but yeah. Okay, well, you pretty much got the drift from our I'm going to say our original introduction. Our introduction was to reject this societal immorality. Right. Right. And I'm going to quote Malcolm on this one. And he said that, and it may be the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as well, where he got it from. He said, when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad took the shackles off of our feet and our arms, he put it on our mind. In other words, that's when he gave us Christianity. Up until then, slaves weren't allowed to practice religion. Okay. She said when the white man took the shackles off our feet and ankles, they put it on our mind. Gotcha. Okay. I'm with you. They actually took 39 books out of the original Bible that they was reading. Yeah. And they gave it to us. Yeah. And I think that's another part of the message to the black man. I should say this as well. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the church was the graveyard of our people. He said he has come to resurrect the mentally dead. That's going back to that mind thing I'm telling you. Right. He said our people are mentally dead. And their graveyard is the church. His job is to resurrect the dead. And we used to refer to our people as the mentally dead. Sometimes we used to say the dead. We used to refer to citizen free slaves as the dead. But that's what we meant, the mentally dead. So I think that gives is more support to when Imam Muhammad became our leader. He pulled the covers off of those hidden meanings. And the very first thing he taught us was that man means mind. Okay. Yeah. And like I said, but you have to understand, he was teaching us from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings with an express and intent purpose of pointing us to Prophet Muhammad. Right. Now, I will say this. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Prophet Muhammad was the prototype. He said, and I am the atypical. He was the protypical, and I am the atypical. He said, so when you it's okay to study him, because when you study him, all you're studying is the forerunner of me.
Yeah.
He said, and study his companions. Because when you study his companions, you see how you should be relating to me. So we used to study the Sahabas.
Right.
And Prophet Muhammad, but not because they was an example given to us from Allah.
Right.
We studied them because the Honorable Muhammad pointed us to that.
Right.
So that's how our endearment to him came about. Imam Muhammad knew it was wrong and knew that he had to reestablish us into the proper understanding. And he always used to say, because we used to say we believe in Allah and we believe that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, but the Muhammad we was thinking was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the messenger. And the Allah that we was thinking was those 24 scientists.
Okay.
And the black man of Asia.
Right. So let me real quick. When you said the God you were thinking, the Allah you were thinking about was the scientists. It wasn't
24 scientists was considered the Godhead.
Right.
And the head one, the chief one of them was called Allah. His title was Allah.
Allah. Okay. But now how did, because I always, just to clear up something for me, I always thought that people looked at Master Farad Muhammad as Allah.
He was the 24th of the 24 scientists.
I got you. All right. I'm with you now. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But all that's the knowledge and the teachings. That's the background to it. That's how it got to most of this is not said, and probably a lot of it is not known because people don't study.
Right.
All of it is in black and white, what I'm telling you.
Right.
And if you get a message to the black man, I realized, because I went back and looked at that page 109 when I read it. It's now on page 322. So it's on one of the, depending on which copy you get, it's on one of those two pages, but it's the same thing. But I think they moved some of the chapters around.
Gotcha. I guess last question, and I got a few more, but we're running out of time. But how does the current nation compare to the nation under Honorable Elijah Muhammad? Are the teachings still the same? Have they changed? Do they still, kind of use the same reference books?
Well, Farrakhan actually is teaching it now. And what he has done is suspended the mindset of the people who follow him into the past.
Okay.
What you have to understand is I was a captain in the Nation of Islam. Imam Muhammad really was a continuation of the Nation of Islam, not Farrakhan. Got you. I mean, they're not the real Nation of Islam. The real Nation of Islam is the followers of Prophet Muhammad.
Right. That's
and
right.
Imam Muhammad taught us that. He brought us into that awareness.
Alhamdulillah.
So when Farrakhan decided to go back and resurrect the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he did so because he thought there was a lot of people still stuck in that mindset that couldn't address Imam Muhammad.